A Minnesota woman hopes she can add to the legal trouble for a chiropractor who raped a client. Paul Thompson pleaded guilty to the attack yesterday. He faces 4 years in prison, but prosecutors think there are more victims. One accuser has already spoken to investigators. Gail Layla Thompson was a high school classmate of her husband's. She said the behavior started with inappropriate comments, but last October, Thompson crossed the line.
I was laying on the table getting adjusted, and he went to take my hand behind me, and he actually set my hand right on his crotch. And I just kind of looked at my husband. He looked at me, and Paul looked at my husband, and he just kind of took it off right away. And I said, "Hey, now."
A representative with the district attorney's office said there are a couple of other cases under investigation now. Thompson can no longer practice. The Minnesota Board of Chiropractors suspended his license for 10 years. He will be sentenced in October.
We are learning more from investigators after two sisters from Stillwater were murdered in Wisconsin. Police now tell us one of the women called 911 before she died. Casey Tollisbull and her sister Ashley Steele found on Friday at Steele's home in Fitchburg, Wisconsin. Tollisbull called 911 and told dispatchers her brother-in-law, former Wisconsin deputy Andy Steele, had shot her in the back. Authorities found him hurt in the home's laundry room after the shooting. We expect prosecutors to file charges today. 39-year-old Steele retired this summer after he was diagnosed with ALS. Several of his former colleagues had spoken with him the day before the killings and had no indication anything was wrong.
A lot of unanswered questions, and one of the things we do in this profession is we try to make sense out of nonsense.
Together, Ashley and Casey leave behind 6 children. A fund has been set up to help them. You can find it at WCCO.com/links.
A community north of the Twin Cities is mourning the tragic loss of a young boy. 11-year-old Dallas Casper of North Branch died Saturday, 2 days after he was hit by a car outside his home. Police told us Casper was walking with his dad Thursday night when a car drifted across the center line and hit him. The driver was a 46-year-old woman. Police say she stopped and tried to help Casper before emergency crews arrived. Officers are continuing to investigate. A man hit by a light rail train in St. Paul is expected to recover. It happened just after 1 o'clock yesterday afternoon at University Avenue and Chatsworth Street. Metro Transit police say the man was illegally walking between the east and westbound tracks when he was hit by a train. He was hospitalized, but as we mentioned, should recover.
The U.S. could be laying down the groundwork for a possible Syrian airstrike as it continues its fight against ISIS militants. The Associated Press reports President Barack Obama has authorized surveillance flights over Syria. Syria has said it is willing to cooperate with the U.S. to put down the Sunni Muslim terrorist group, but said the U.S. needs its permission before launching any airstrikes on its territory. Earlier this month, the United States began striking ISIS targets in Iraq.
A community in mourning is vowing to turn its grief for Michael Brown into action. Thousands of people packed into a St. Louis, Missouri church yesterday to say goodbye to the young man who was shot to death by police officer Darren Wilson 2 weeks ago. Speakers urge people to turn their protest chants into legislation and law to help protect young men of color. Both the state and the FBI are investigating the circumstances surrounding Brown's death.
Earthquake damage in California could reach $1 billion. Aftershocks continue in the San Francisco Bay Area after the 6.0 quake hit Sunday. Wineries in Napa County were hard hit, but county officials say the majority are still open. They are encouraging tourists to visit. The quake was the worst to rattle that area in 25 years. It damaged homes, businesses, and left more than 200 people injured.